Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Jan Michael here, back after my break and ready to bring you some more videos. And what better way to start things off but by doing my predictions for the 2025 Academy Awards. Now, for those of you new here, or that may need a reminder, I typically do things a little bit different for my predictions for the first 2 to 3 months. These aren't my full-blown predictions. These are more focusing on specific categories. For today, I'm going to be taking a look at Best Picture and the directors that may come along with it. I'm also going to be doing something special and including 3 specific genre films in the predictions. First, animated feature film. These have gotten into Best Picture in the past, and I want to get a jump start in case one happens to slip through this year. 2, international feature film. This one will come as no surprise. Every year we at least get one of these into Best Picture, so again, just want to get a jump start on that one. The third one is documentary. This is really the only genre that hasn't broken into Best Picture, though we've gotten close. I feel it's only a matter of time, and I really do want to see it happen, so I want to get an early jump start on that. I want to predict those type of films that could potentially get into Best Picture. So I'll include one, even though I don't think it's going to be very likely anytime soon. You just never know. So with all that being said, we got a lot to talk about. I got 25 films ready for you guys. Let's go ahead and dive in alphabetical order. The Apprentice, aka the Donald Trump movie. And I think this is one of those films that everyone has just a huge question mark over their head about, because I mean, how do you make a movie about Donald Trump not funny? I mean, his mannerisms, the way that he talks, just the way that he thinks, it's impossible to not make fun of that man. So I don't know how we're going to take this movie seriously, but we'll find out soon enough, as this is getting its premiere at Cannes later this month. I'm looking forward to seeing what those early reviews are all about, but I'll be honest, even those screenshots with Sebastian Stan doing the facial expression, I'm already chuckling. So yeah, I don't have much hope on it, but it is something I have to hear what people are gonna say about it. Blitz. This is Steve McQueen's newest film, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Steve, which I get I'm in the minority here, which is why I have to include it. I mean, 12 Years a Slave did pretty damn good, and even though Widows wasn't a huge Oscar contender, critics fucking loved that film. So I anticipate, even if this is not an Oscar contender, it's still gonna get plenty of praise from the critics. That being said, the biggest reason this is even on here is because my girl, Saoirse Ronan's in it, and it's due time. It's due time she gets an Oscar. I know this video isn't supposed to be about the performances, but it's impossible to talk about Blitz without including her in the conversation. So that's the only reason I'm super excited about this one. And of course, because a lot of other people really like Steve McQueen. So there it is for you. Conclave. This one's Edward Berger's new film, fresh out of All Quiet on the Western Front, which I greatly enjoyed. And I mean, just read the synopsis and tell me you're not excited to see this movie. Like, this is already sounding like a pretty goddamn interesting plot. Not only that, but Ralph Fiennes, I know we're talking about performances again, but Ralph Fiennes, I think a lot of people are just excited to have him back in the Oscar field. It's been such a long time since he's been nominated. He should have an Oscar by now, truly. And so I think if this ends up being a huge Oscar player, a lot of people are really going to be giving a push to Ray. He's going to have the narrative behind him to finally win. And yeah, we could be seeing an exciting race with him finally taking the gold. And if the movie's amazing, of course, Best Picture and Best Director. So that's what I have for this one. Dune Part 2. Spoiler alert, this is the only film that's already released that is on my list. And I think everybody's just on board with Dune Part 2 getting into Best Picture. I mean, that last one did fantastic. Why wouldn't this one follow suit? The big question is, does Denis get snubbed again for director? I was originally going to say there's no way that can happen again, but now that there's going to be a Part 3, it makes me think that the Academy is more willing to hold off to really honor him once he finishes all the movies he's going to do for it. So I'm a little bit more hesitant there now. But that being said, Dune 2 definitely going to be a Best Picture contender. I'd be very shocked if it wasn't. Though, I'm going to add a bonus prediction because this film's come out so early in the year. There's so many people jumping on it right now because they've seen it, it's proven itself, that they're like, yeah, Dune Part 2, totally gonna get into Best Picture. As the year continues and we get more great films, I bet you anything so many people, for no reason, are gonna drop Dune 2. Like, they're gonna start putting it at the lower end of the list, maybe even saying, yeah, I could see it not getting in whatsoever. Because that's just the mentality of people, like, oh, the shiny new thing's definitely gonna get in, and not the thing that came out like a year ago. It's like kids playing with new toys, like your fucking Andy in Toy Story with that, like, nightmare scene.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
I don't want to predict you anymore. Just seriously, that's my prediction. That is my prediction, so we'll see if that comes true. The end. So this is one of those films that a lot of people are talking about in terms of predictions that I'm just not buying. Like, even reading the synopsis, it feels like this is gonna fall in one of two camps. First, it's gonna be super goddamn pretentious and talk about, oh, we're this family in a way, you know, we're all contributing to the end of the world type deal, and just gonna preach to you. And then the other one is just trying to be like this cheap thriller of sorts, like, oh, there's a mystery behind it, and it has no substance whatsoever. That's just the vibes I'm getting here. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's as amazing as other people are thinking it's gonna be, but I'm just not buying it yet. Though, the biggest thing I think most people are trying to pull from it is Tilda Swinton. They want her to get nominated again. It's been a while. So, sure, I have no problem with that. It's not high up on my radar, but I just had to include it because so many people that I follow have talked about it, and I just don't know why. What hope is it that people are clutching onto this film for? And I don't know. You guys tell me, but for now, it's on here, but it's definitely near the bottom of my list. The Fire Inside. This was the film that was known as Flintstrong. It just got its name changed to this, which ever since the Diane Warren Fire Inside song last year, every single time now I hear this title, that song just starts popping into my mind, so I just gotta beat it out of there. Anyways, I do think, especially reading the synopsis, that this could be a strong Oscar contender, but I also see it being one of those films that comes out, just gets little to no fanfare, and then is forgotten about by the end of the year. But I hope not, because I really am hoping that Brian Tyree Henry makes another splash at the Oscars. He's already got one nomination under his belt. To get multiple nominations, I think would prove that he has within him to be a winner in the future. Maybe this is the one that does it. I'm not quite getting those vibes. I need to see more about the film first, but this is more of a film that I'm very hopeful for, and I'm keeping a close eye on, even though it's not so high up on my list as of right now. Fly Me to the Moon. Okay, look, this was not even on my radar until I saw the trailer. But holy smokes, am I excited to see the film after that trailer. Like, this could be one of those films that just gets so many people to go see it that it blows up at the box office, and then just people remember it throughout the entire year, ultimately making its way to the Oscars. And I think this premise is, it's one that if somebody was telling me in real life, like, oh yeah, they're gonna film the moon landing, it's, you know, it's a hoax and type deal, and just have that kind of as a center focus of the film as well, I'd be like, oh man, are you fucking serious? The whole moon landing is fake type deal, stupid. However, I'm okay with these type of, like, almost like parody type of films where it kind of makes fun of the idea, if that is what it's going to be going for. And I'm completely on board in that regard, and just the insanity of it. So far, the trailer made me smile, so I am looking forward to seeing it. Though I will admit, I think this could be more of a Hidden Figures type film if it had come out at the end of the year when it was still fresh on people's minds. Still, if that first scenario where it's just so popular does happen, it could make its way to the Oscars. I'm not 100% convinced yet, but it is just one that I'm very much looking forward to seeing. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Of course I'm gonna have this on the list. Everyone should have this on their list. Though there is some noise, if you will, of people saying that they just don't think this is gonna be as big as the last Mad Max film. Like, some people think George Miller's just gonna do the same thing again, and if the movie's the same as the last one, even though it's still going to be good, how can it be a better film with a better chance at the Oscars, getting into more categories, or even being more of a contender to win Best Picture? And it makes sense, but goddamn if I'm still not excited to see it. And this is going to be an Oscar contender. Even if this ends up being a weaker film than the last Mad Max, I mean, visually, it's just got those technical categories in the bag for at least nomination. So it's going to be an Oscar contender. Will it go on to be Best Picture, Best Director? I don't know, but I can hope. Gladiator 2. God damn it, Ridley Scott. How do you keep making it onto my list despite me not liking you? I swear, like, I am not a fan of Ridley, like, at all. Yes, once in a while he'll have an interesting film like The Last Duel, that one I did enjoy. But even the films that a lot of other people unanimously say, oh, it's a good film, I really like it, I've just not been the biggest fan of. So why does he keep making it on the list? Because he does shit like put Gladiator 2 out this year, where the last one was a Best Picture winner. It was a huge contender, so why wouldn't I at least humor the idea of its sequel also being a huge contender? I don't have hope in it. It definitely would be towards the bottom of my list. If there's one thing that I'm on board with everybody thinking is that maybe Denzel Washington can get a nomination for his role here, that I would be very cool with. But yeah, look, I'm going to say right now, I don't think it's going to get nominated. I'll eat my words gladly in the future, but I'm calling it right now. It's not going to be a Best Picture contender. We'll see. Joker, Folie à Deux. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, right? Un, deux, trois. Anyways, this had kind of the same rumblings as the Furiosa film, where a lot of people are like, oh, it's just going to be more of the same, right? Why is this going to be a bigger picture? And to be honest, even before the trailer came out, I was already excited to see it, because you take this big property, it's already proven itself, you should just do the same thing again, but you're gonna make it a musical. God damn, that takes some balls. I applaud it. Then the trailer came out and everybody's train of thought switched over to mine. They're like, holy shit, yes. So you don't really hear those rumblings anymore. This is just going to be the same thing. Even though the trailer kind of proved it was going to be in certain regards. Like him and Harley are dancing down the steps. I'm like, no, you don't need that. You don't need callbacks to the first one. Stop that. Still, very excited to see it. It could very well be a huge Oscar contender. I could also see it being a huge, like, fall on its face type of film. Like, it swings too hard and it just completely misses the ball. But that's what's exciting about these predictions. You just don't know. And that's what makes me excited. Juror number 2. This one is Clint Eastwood's newest film. And yes, I do think he's had a series of duds recently. But the cast mixed with the synopsis makes me pretty excited about this one. Like, I feel if he does it right, this could be like top-notch Clint Eastwood work. I would really love to see that. As long as he doesn't make it like overly sentimental or melodramatic, which he tends to do. Like his newer films really go in that direction, and it bugs the hell out of me. Just don't do that, please. Don't do that. You've set it up properly. Just execute properly as well, please. Kinds of Kindness. Yorgos Lanthimos is back, baby, and I'm super excited for his newest film. Now, out of all the movies I'm talking about today, I think this is the one that has the biggest split. Like, there's those people in one camp that are like, this is not a Best Picture contender. It's not even thinking about that. I mean, it's an anthology film. Look at its release date. Just stop it. Stop predicting it. And then there's my camp that's like, it's Yorgos Lanthimos. Like, how many times has his films been undermined only for them to be huge Oscar contenders and do better than expected? Don't count out Yorgos. And I agree, do not count out Yorgos. Yes, it's an anthology film. I get it's a harder sell for picture, director, what have you, but I still think it could get nominations. Writing, maybe some technical aspects, maybe editing. And if you're going to go for editing, why not Best Picture and Best Director? And here's one. Best Performances. Because a lot of people are like, well, you're only going to get these characters for a little bit of time before it switches to something else. And if that was it, I would agree. But from what I understand, these actors and actresses are going to be in each segment. They're going to be just playing different characters. That's a great showcase of talent. You're going to see their range. Like, more than any other film, you're gonna see the range because they're gonna be different characters. Are they gonna be so completely different that you really can't connect the two together? Like, they're just different people in your mind? That would be fucking amazing. And I bet you Yorgos can pull it off. So yes, I'm looking forward to it. Yes, I'm predicting it. It's coming out later this month at Cannes, so we will find out soon enough if it is going to be an Oscar contender or not. But I am definitely leaning towards it is. The Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. At least, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. But I digress. This is the animated film I am predicting for Best Picture. How confident am I in that? Not really. I mean, personally, I am kind of getting tired of the whole Lord of the Rings world type thing. I mean, you got the shows, you got the movies, you got so many video games. But I do admit that if there is an animated feature film that could get nominated for Best Picture, I think Lord of the Rings could pull it off. Especially with the style that they decide to go with. Like, you got this huge battle. If they do like a Spider-Man, Spider-Verse type animation, but with Lord of the Rings type setting, I think you have a feast for the eyes that a lot of people are going to be able to get behind. It's also got a December release date, so it'll be fresh on people's minds going into the Oscar. So I think all the cards are lining up very well for this film indeed. Maria. This is Pablo Larraín's newest sad woman feature film, which, come on, that's just not the best way to describe his films. Okay, now, his films don't typically get into Best Picture, get into Best Director, that type of thing. Sometimes they're very polarizing depending on who's watching them. But I think he has the potential to break into those categories. He's been an Oscar contender in the past with his films, with the performances especially. So I think it's only a matter of time before we see somebody that's just kind of in the subcategories, if you will, get into those top categories. And maybe this is the one to do it. If not, then at the very least, I think a lot of people are very much vying for Angelina Jolie to get back into the Oscars. It's been a while since she's been nominated, so yeah, it would be cool to see her back into the limelight. So, one I am very much keeping my eye on, and I'm excited to see how it turns out. Megalopolis, or as the Oscar critic has coined, Megaflopolis. That's a good one. If for whatever reason you watch my videos, that's a great one, actually. I got me laughing. Anyways, Francis Ford Coppola is back with this film. Like, the number one story I've heard most is how nobody wants to pick up this film. Like, why? Is it because they can't market it? Is it because they know it's gonna be a huge failure? I don't know, but that makes it exciting. We're gonna find out very soon. There's another film that's gonna be coming out at Cannes. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what those reviews say. And I don't know, sometimes when it's just a ginormous mess, it makes me even more excited to see it. So we'll see. Even if it's a huge mess and doesn't get into Best Picture, does it have the chops to get into some of the tech categories? Is it gonna be a huge failure at the Oscars? Or is it just a huge failure in terms of Best Picture? Just never know. You just never know. The Nickel Boys. Now, I was reading the synopsis to this film, and I gotta admit, I think this has huge possibility of getting into Best Picture, Best Director, Best Performances, what have you, writing, as long as they do it right. Like, if this ends up being a huge blunder, my God, that would be a goddamn shame. Because first, the subject material, you gotta do it justice. But second, you've got gold on your hands. Like, you see this type of thing, it's gold in your hands. Use it wisely. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this one. I don't know much about the director, writer, so I get there's that kind of unknown factor. It could fail. I hope it really doesn't. This is one that I really would like to see it go all the way, but time will tell. Time will tell. Nosferatu. Hey, shh, listen, shh. I get that it's a horror film and it's most likely not gonna get into Best Picture, but I don't fucking care. It's my list. I'm gonna do the prediction anyway. Look, I think I'm actually going to include a horror film every single time I do my early Best Picture predictions, because I really like horror. If done right, I think there is times where it's just a complete disaster of a film and they're easy to make because people go watch them, and I digress. But when done right, goddamn are they impressive. And the Oscars need to stop their bullshit horror movie prejudice. So, Nosferatu. I'm very much looking forward to it. Robert Eggers, in my opinion, has not made a bad film, so even if this isn't a Best Picture contender, if it's not an Oscar contender, what have you, I'm very much looking forward to going to see it. But I mean, come on, it's at least got to have makeup, right? Maybe cinematography, maybe? I don't know. Like, I think the Oscars need to break out of that habit of not nominating horror films, because there's some great ones in recent years that have not gotten the nomination, and that is a goddamn shame. Parthenope. Parthenope? I don't know. However you pronounce that movie. This is the newest one by Paolo Sorrentino, who recently had The Hand of God, which was nominated for Best International Feature Film. So yes, this is my International Feature Film nominee. I think... Okay, so I may be stupid. Debatable. But correct me if I'm wrong. So I was taking a look at the movie. It does say it's Italian film, so I'm thinking it's in the Italian language, but then you have Gary Oldman in the movie, and can Gary Oldman speak Italian? Or, I don't, and even further, I actually started looking up, does Gary Oldman speak any other language other than English? And I could not for the life of me find the answer to that. So I'm just going to live with the big question mark, and I may be looking very dumb right now. So please let me know. If you don't, that's fine. We'll find out soon enough. This is another film that's coming out to Cannes. And yeah, I was looking at other international feature films, and there's nothing that's really stuck out to me apart from this one. So yeah, this one just makes it by process of elimination, I guess. Queer. Luca Guadagnino's next film after Challengers, which, let's get the elephant out of the room. I did not put Challengers on my predictions list. Why? Is it because I hated Challengers? No, I actually thought Challengers was a very solid film. I don't think it's a masterpiece, as some people have said, but I do think it's very solid. I just don't personally see it as a Best Picture contender. Not that I'm against it being a Best Picture contender or would be angry if it got in. I personally don't see it. I do, however, see it getting many technical nominations. Things like cinematography, things like the score, things like editing. And if you're making the argument for editing, then I guess you have to consider the possibility of picture and director. So you make those arguments, I understand. I don't know, just something about it doesn't scream Best Picture. So I got Queer instead. And I think one of the other things that's on my mind is, if for whatever reason Challengers does end up being a bigger contender, I could see this one kind of getting pushed back to next year, so he's not in competition with himself at the Oscars. But it's way too early to tell what exactly is going to happen. I think the biggest one here is that Daniel Craig is in it, and a lot of people want him to get an Oscar nomination. Like, they want to bring him into that circle, and I agree. I think he's a great actor. I think it's time he gets an Oscar nomination. He's taken seriously at the Oscars, so I'd be on board there. But yeah, I think there's a lot that we don't know yet in terms of these two films and what their chances are at the Oscars, and what's that gonna mean for the release of Queer. Sing Sing. Yes, I'm including Sing Sing on here. The people who have seen it have spoken nothing but great things about it. They said it's made them cry, which I've learned the last couple of years when people say a film's make them cry, I go in there anticipating to cry and then I don't cry at all. Like, I don't even get teary-eyed, so yeah, that track record doesn't bode well for me. But regardless, I can appreciate a great film, and I'm hoping that this is. Coleman Domingo, a lot of people are saying he's most definitely going to get into the Best Actor race this upcoming year, even if the film doesn't get into Best Picture. So, hey, that's something to look forward to. And I am. Union. Finally, last of all, I have the documentary feature film that I'm predicting for Best Picture. This one actually just got its release in January at Sundance, where it got really good reviews. It even won an award. And so, I think this has a very good possibility of getting into documentary feature film, maybe even winning. Does that translate into a Best Picture nomination? I don't know. Again, I think that film's just going to have to be so amazing it does what no other film before it could. But again, I want to be at the forefront. I want to be there when it finally happens, and I do think it could happen eventually. And this one's actually coming out at a very important time where unions are fresh on people's minds. I mean, you had the writer's strike. The Guild was the forefront of television. So many people were talking about it. So why not have a film where people are gonna want to see what unionization is about, especially against the bastards that are Amazon. So very much looking forward to seeing it. If it does end up being a Best Picture nominee, I called it first, but that's all I have for that one. And that's all I have for you guys for this month. Now, next month I'm going to be going over the performances, so look forward to those. Eventually I will be doing my full-blown predictions where I go over every category. Got to do my research during those early months, so just bear with me for now. I'm very excited. Another season has begun, so thank you guys for joining me for another road to the Oscars. I got many more videos coming. It's not just the predictions, so until that next video, everybody, like always, stay safe out there and have a good one.